Well, I think we now know what kind of player he is. He's a player that is a big, physical, imposing quarterback who can make great throws, great plays, second reaction plays. Um, we found out as well last year that he can certainly run a rhythm type offense because that's all they could run down the stretch, given the wide receiver talent that they were putting out there. He's probably always going to be a guy that misses a few. I wouldn't call him scattershot in the sense that he's all over the place, but he'll always miss a few that you'd like him to make. I think that he has an aggressive mindset that had to be sort of tamped down last year because they didn't have players who could do that, and therefore they went into this offseason with a plan to get speed, and they did that. Now we have no idea how that will play out. Deshaun Jackson will be back. We saw what Deshaun Jackson did week one and has been throughout his career. If he can still do that, he gives them that. They drafted Jalen Reagor, who's got speed. They drafted Hightower, who to me is a fascinating guy. Yeah, I'm really intrigued by John Hightower from Boise. Play strength is his biggest issue, and that is a concern. But he's a very intriguing guy. We know about the two tight ends. They'll play a lot of 12 personnel. I think their offense will look different this year. I really do. They brought in some new coaches, and I think Doug Peterson is aware that their offense got a little static and stagnant, and obviously some of that's a function of personnel, but I think their offense will look different this year. I think they'll be more aggressive with the pass game in terms of intermediate vertical throws, but I think Carson Wentz is one of those guys that is a high level NFL quarterback, and you just have to accept that there'll be a few he misses here and there.
Yeah, the only concern is that, and Greg touched on it, I could just develop it a little bit more, that a lot of the guys who they'd like to play at receiver are very young. JJ Arcega-Whiteside, who was hurt last season, that's why he didn't do very well. He's not a speed guy, but he's a go after it. He was supposed to replace Alshon Jeffrey. John Hightower, who's a rookie, who could flat out fly, who probably should have been drafted higher. The Eagles feel like they got a good grade on him and good value on him. Jalen Reagor, we know he can line up anywhere. He's a playmaker. As one coach I spoke to over the weekend told me, who graded his tape, this guy's from another team, he said that maybe the most physically gifted receiver for his size he's seen in a while. His play speed and play physicality is really remarkable. He's under 5'11". People don't seem to understand that. He's not like 6'1", but the hands are a little bit concerned with him. He had 7 drops last season, so want to see him clean that up. And then Marquise Goodwin, I'll add him. He'll almost certainly be on the team. They traded for him because they wanted someone who's been a starter before, who's been a veteran. Alshon Jeffrey's very questionable to doubtful to be ready for week 1. So they just don't have a lot of experience other than Jackson. And Jackson, quite frankly, has just not been able to stay healthy. He played the better of one game. He was just never healthy. So the one thing that they're going to have, if these guys get on the field, there will not be a faster team at receiver than the Eagles from 1 to 4, other than Kansas City you could make the argument for. But the thing is, there's so many guys that are unproven. You just don't know what you're going to get. But it's also still going to go through the tight ends. The tight ends are still going to dominate target.
There's a lot of weapons here. I don't know if Ertz gets the volume, and he is still pretty costly as the third tight end off the board. Any thoughts here on Zach Ertz with an ADP around 52? Again, that's a little pricey for me.
I'm with you on that. I don't want to say I'm completely out on a player for fantasy. I just think that's like, I don't know. I'm never that confident to be completely out. But Zach Ertz's price is way too high. I mean, he goes ahead of Mark Andrews pretty comfortably most times, and I kind of don't get it. I mean, look, Ertz has 75 catches and over 800 yards in like 5 straight years. He's been one of the most consistent, like top 5, top 6 tight ends for fantasy. But, that was pretty interesting note that Adam had earlier that Dallas Goedert probably was never healthy last year because of the calf injury. And I straight up think Goddard is a better player after the catch than Zach Ertz, and it's not even close. Like,
I would agree.
Ertz is really good against zone and getting open against zone coverage. But in terms of yards after the catch ability and just like strict man beating stuff, I think Goddard is a better player. And Jalen Reagor is, I think, I don't think people are truly understanding how good Reagor is, how good the fit is, and number 2, how quickly he can get targets in this offense. I mean, they're going to scheme the ball to him, get him all over the field, and I love Jalen Reagor for fantasy this year. I think he's going to I think he's going to eat into Ertz's volume. I think Goddard's going to eat into Ertz's volume a little bit, and I'm straight up just would rather have Mark Andrews in fantasy. So for all those reasons, yeah, I'm not spending a fourth, fifth round pick on Zach Ertz at all in any of my leagues. Yeah, no brainer. I think I've taken Reagor in almost every single best ball draft. I've got him in as like a basically 8th, 9th round pick in my ranks, and he goes in the 10th, 11th, 12th round. So I'm all in on that. It's just, I mean, there's just so much upside to that pick, right? I mean, like you're basically buying what we think is the Eagles' #1 wide receiver for free. I mean, even if Reagor only gets like 80 targets this year, he's going to have a couple splash games where he's worth that pick. And if he, is as good as we think he can be, he's going to absolutely smash the pick. So yeah, I love Jalen Reagor pretty much anytime you can get him after the 10th round. Love him.